As a new CIO tackling transformation, my first proposal was 2 years and $25 million that I submitted to my prodigious boss, Gordon Coburn, the CFO then. He quickly rejected it. My next attempt was to call a global town hall of all the IT people. And I presented this thing that I called the Propel program. And the first slide had said that there are a 12-point agenda of learning for all the associates, and they had to complete it in 12 months. As a speaker, I tried to observe closely the audience reaction. So before I started my presentation, there was quite a bit of enthusiasm I could see. Maybe people were thinking the new CIO will say something radically new. But as soon as I put up this 12-point agenda, the energy in the room went to minus 500. And I could see that my goose was cooked right then and there. Luckily for us, we changed our approach and we did come up with better ideas and we created $1 billion impact. But then why did I come up with such poor ideas? As is my passion, I look to history for inspiration. And I tell you the story of the first ATM, which happened in 1967. Barclays rolled out the first ATM in a suburb of London in the year 1967. And the inventor was John Shepherd Barham. And the ATM took a paper token and delivered 10 pounds of cash at a time. It even had the 4-digit ATM pin that we still have. But my more interesting finding is that almost 30 years prior to that, on the other side of the Atlantic, Citibank rolled out its first ATM, and the inventor was Luther Simeon. Within 6 months, Citibank shut down the project, saying there was no demand for it. They observed that only prostitutes and gamblers and people like that were using the ATM. At first, I thought maybe Citibank should have persisted with this project. But when I dug deeper, I found that Luther Simeon's device was a cash depositing device. In fact, it was so advanced that it would take a picture of the deposit you're making and give you a photograph as a record. Even then, it failed. So, why did Luther Simeon make the decision of cash deposits versus the better decision that John Shepherd Barham seems to have made with withdrawals? The next place I landed was the iPod. I recently came across this as I was reading this brilliant book by David Eagleman. It turns out that a British inventor by name Kane Kramer had invented a device called the ICSI, which you can see from the picture that it eerily looks like the iPod. It had big name investors like Paul McCartney and people like that, but it did almost reach production stage, but it failed. When I dug deeper, I found out that Kane Kramer's device could store only one song at a time. Now we know that the iPod is famous for the first one, famous for storing 1,000 songs. So why did Kane Kramer design a device that could store only one song? Which led me to the point that this seems like an anomaly. Something very similar, eerily similar, succeeds several years or even decades later, as we have seen. Now we can dismiss this as a design error, or we can even say hindsight is 2020. But I think that is just the tip of the iceberg. There is a bottom of the iceberg.